How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we are retracing a little bit, breaking that EMA. If we continue to see red candles, it's likely the crypto market will continue to rise. RSI is pulling back, stochastic is rounding. That VWAP did break bearish. Watch for a lower high. If we get lower highs with lower lows here, momentum will favor bearish, and money flow will remain bearish, and we would continue to sell off. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are trying to inch our way up, but again, not very much progress. We are still hitting our EMAs and not breaking through them. Watch for a breakthrough. If we don't get that, it's likely we could get a rejection and see total do better than Bitcoin. Momentum is falling as VWAP is favoring bearish. Keep an eye on that. Money flow could start to pull back here. Over on our total for the daily, we did hit our neckline, so I would watch for continued bullish momentum. If we can get continued bullish momentum and break that neckline tomorrow, that would be positive, but exercise caution with lower time frames. Our stochastic does want to pull back. Momentum is starting to round. RSI is running up. That VWAP is starting to weaken. Keep an eye on that, and money flow is bullish. Over on the 4 hour, we do have higher highs with higher lows. We did invalidate that rising channel, so that was positive. We did manage to bounce off that 602 like we said to watch for, and that gave us that breakup like we said we could get. RSI is pulling back. Our stochastic is rounding. VWAP is starting to round away. We have a higher high, so watch for higher lows. If we get higher lows here, momentum will continue forward and money flow will continue out. That will strengthen the daily, as that 4 hour will give further strength to push us forward. But the 2 hour here, our VWAP is starting to break bearish. Keep an eye on that. Momentum is starting to round with the red dot. So if that VWAP does not reverse, our momentum could start to weaken and bring money flow lower, which will weaken that 4 hour, and then we wouldn't give the daily much strength. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is breaking down. Momentum is following. RSI is dropping. VWAP's favoring bearish, and money flow is pulling back. So we don't look too positive. We currently have lower highs. Watch for lower lows. If we start lower highs with lower lows here and they do not connect, we could create a bearish continuation to break us lower. Over on Bitcoin futures, we'll jump over to the daily. Looks like we have a little bit of a gap for tomorrow's candle, so I would watch for a retracement, but we did hit that 65.5 like we said. Stochastic is pretty flat. RSI is pretty flat. Momentum's not really going anywhere. VWAP is losing strength. Money flow wants to go bullish, but keep an eye on that VWAP. We did get that little bit of a break forward we mentioned on Bitcoin, so if you didn't stick around for that, hopefully you do this time. Stochastic does want to round. That VWAP is pulling back. Momentum is rounding on the 4 hour here, and our RSI does want to weaken, so I would watch if that VWAP continues to weaken. We could reject this area. Over on the 2 hour, you can see where that gap's forming. Stochastic is dropping, RSI is weakening, momentum is rounding, VWAP is breaking down, and money flow is bearish. Over on the 1 hour, we have that gap below us. We also have that several other gaps. We have one right around this 60K level. Then we have one around that 57. So remember, those gaps do have an 80% likelihood to fill. Our stochastic is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding. RSI is pulling back. And that VWAP does have lower lows with lower highs. It's currently rounding away from that neutral. If this continues, momentum will break down. Money flow will go from green to red. We will weaken those higher time frames after a prolonged time. And then we would reject our resistance level. And that would not make our higher high here. Remember, we need higher highs with higher lows from here. We do have a little bit of a higher high, so if we can solidify a higher low, I'd say somewhere above this 54K level, that would be positive, but I would exercise caution because if our highs and lows start to connect, that could create a rising channel here, that could spell bearish momentum later. Over on the daily here, for Bitcoin, we are trying to pump forward. We got about 2/3 of our move up, so I will delete this pattern as it's pretty much played out. That doesn't mean we can't continue to our neckline, but I would just watch lower time frames. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is bullish, both stochastic drops, RSI will follow. Momentum is rounding, VWAP is breaking down, and money flow is pulling back. Over on the 4 hour, we do have higher highs with higher lows. They do not connect right now, so that does look positive to continue us forward. Momentum does have a lower high though, and VWAP is pulling back. Watch that VWAP. If it breaks through that neutral, we could see that momentum start to weaken and money flow pull back. Watch lower time frames. Over on the 2 hour, money flow is favoring bearish. Keep an eye on this. That VWAP does want to break down. If that VWAP breaks down and holds, we will see momentum reject. Money flow would reject across to the bullish side, and the higher time frames would weaken. Over on the 1 hour, we do have our stochastic rounding away. RSI is starting to pull back, momentum is rounding, and that VWAP, just like that futures, has lower lows with lower highs, rejecting that neutral cross and pushing lower. So if we continue below this neutral area, momentum will continue to weaken and money flow will go from red to green to red, and we will see a continued sell-off. Watch for a hang up around that 300 EMA, right around that 62K. If we can bounce off there, that could be positive, but we also have around that 57K. So if we drop down to 57K, fill all of our futures gaps, then continue forward, that would still make that higher low with those higher highs that we said we needed when we covered futures just a little while ago. So over on graph for the daily, we are trying to continue through our neckline. We got about a third of our move forward. I would watch this. Stochastic does want to pull back, momentum is rounding, VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows, watch for that to break. If it does, momentum and money flow will follow. Over on the E4 hour, we do have a consistent high. I would watch, this could be a double top, you have a rise, a drop, a rise, so if we break this neckline, we could drop to our 16,316. Momentum's getting lower highs as well with the red dot, as that VWAP does want to break down, so momentum could continue lower with that red dot. Money flow does want to pull back, stochastic is selling off, and RSI is weakening due to stochastic selling off. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is pulling back, RSI is dropping, momentum does want to round, getting lower highs, so watch, we have bearish divergence. VWAP is pulling back, and money flow is pulling back, so we don't look too good overall. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is dropping away, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, and that VWAP does want to reject that neutral. If we stay bearish here, we will continue to drop down. Over on Ankr, I assume we'd be very similar on most of our coins. We did try to push that 3079 again, and we did not break through. Stochastic does want to round, RSI starting to weaken, momentum has a red dot, VWAP does want to break down, and that money flow is trying to break bullish, but if VWAP breaks down, we will see that reject. Over on the 4 hour here, we are trying to break that neckline area. We could have a flag here, but we did reject our third touch, if you would call this a flag. So I would exercise caution, because usually if you reject that third touch and don't get your bullish breakup, you do end up pulling back. Stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pulling back, momentum is selling off, VWAP is favoring bearish, and money flow is bullish, very strong, but if that VWAP breaks down, money flow will reverse. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic is dropping away, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding with that red dot, signaling it wants to continue lower as that VWAP breaks bearish, pushing money flow lower, possibly pushing it toward that neutral, and if we don't gain strength, we could go from green to red. So over on the 1 hour on Ankr, we're not like everything else. We do still have lower highs with lower lows, but we're above that neutral, so that is positive. Again, just watch for favor under that neutral. If we see that favor, momentum would break down, money flow would follow, and price action would drop. Our stochastic is dropping, RSI is weakening, so the 1 hour isn't very strong there. Over on XRP for the daily, we still have our rising channel. We did hit the bottom of that channel, hitting that 57 like we said. I would watch for the lower time frames. They're going to tell you where we'll go. Our stochastic does want to round, RSI is flat, momentum is weakening, VWAP is favoring bearish, so money flow wants to pull back. Over on our 4 hour here, stochastic is starting to round away, VWAP is starting to push down. We do have a stronger wave here, so that is positive. So if we can get higher lows with consistent highs, we can continue forward. Momentum is bullish, money flow is pulling back though, but if our VWAP can bounce here, getting a higher low, that money flow could break to the bullish side. Over on the 2 hour, we are starting to round away. Watch these EMAs close. Stochastic does want to break down. We have orange above blue. RSI is starting to drop as a result. Momentum has a red dot signaling it wants to drop away as that VWAP breaks through that neutral and pushes money flow lower. So keep an eye on that VWAP. If it continues to favor bearish here, we could drop lower. Over on our 1 hour, momentum is rounding away, stochastic is breaking down, RSI is following, and VWAP has lower highs with lower lows, again rejecting that neutral. If this continues and we favor that bearish area, we will see momentum and money flow start to break, and that will give us some bearish retracements. Finally, on ALGO for the daily, we did try to hold this 1350, so that is positive. We are pushing toward this 1430. That's about our next consolidation range, next resistance area. Our next one would be the 1618. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is gaining strength, momentum is pushing forward, that VWAP has lower highs though, watch that close. Money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP breaks down, money flow can reverse. Over on the 4 hour, VWAP has lower highs, watch for lower lows, momentum wants to push down with lower highs, and money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP breaks down, we will see that retrace over time. Over on the 2-hour, VWAP is attempting to break down, momentum is rounding away, we have bearish divergence, our money flow is pulling back, so watch for that VWAP to favor bearish. If it does, we will break down. Over on the 1 hour, RSI is flat, stochastic does want to run up, and our VWAP is trying to hold bullish, but again, watch for lower highs with lower lows here. We do have a lower high right now, so if we get another lower low, we could start to favor bearish, and that's where we could start to push down toward that 1350, and if we don't hold that, that's where we would see our other support areas. Thank you for watching tonight's video.